Deep Ellum on Sunday Fun Day, it's a vibe. It's a vibe, okay? Okay, before you guys come for me, I already know this setup is ghetto. I'm in the process of moving back to Dallas. So I've started packing my room here and selling a lot of my furniture. So I didn't want to like sit and have like one lamp behind me or like one lamp and a nightstand. So I was like, how would I just sit by this door? And I know this door handle is ugly, but let's ignore that. Thank you guys so much for coming back to my channel. As you can tell by the title, this video is my top tips or things I wish I knew before I moved to Dallas originally. The first video I actually posted on this channel was about my story time of moving here. I kind of talked about why I moved to Texas and kind of what pushed me to do that big move. It's about 1,600 miles from California. So I wanted to kind of get into it because a lot of you guys are also interested in moving to Texas as well. And girl, you already know I have the tips for you, okay? I have advice for you, some things I wish people had told me, and just some helpful hints before you make the big jump. The first tip I have for you is to do your research. It's very easy to kind of figure out where the good and bad areas are of a city. For example, Dallas, the rent in South Dallas is going to be a lot different than the rent in North Dallas or in Uptown or in Las Colinas. Like there's a big disparity. So if you're going based off a price point and you have a strict budget in mind, I would recommend one of two things: either getting an apartment locator or having a friend in the area go look at apartments for you. With apartment locators, they just want to make a sale. I actually posted a vlog last week and I ended up taking it down because I had to take it down. But in that video, I kind of talked about apartment locators and the ones that I've worked with specifically. I've worked with about 4 different locators from 4 different companies. And I found one thing in common, that they're very pushy and they want you to just sign on just about any apartment. They will send you some beautiful complexes with great prices, 2 months free, 6 weeks free. You know, they'll offer to pay for your move if you sign with them. A lot of perks. However, okay, here's where that research goes into play, because a lot of apartment complexes, and maybe this is specific to DFW, they're raggedy. And I say raggedy because if you look at the reviews, a lot of these buildings are built next to homeless shelters or halfway houses. They have a lot of issues with car theft and break-ins, and I'm talking about even the $2,000 plus luxury ones. So just be mindful when you are using locators. Definitely do your due diligence on the back end if you are moving to Texas and you've never been here before, because it's a lot. Obviously, Texas is a big state. If you're moving to any of the major cities like Austin, Houston, or Dallas, even San Antonio, there's good and bad parts of every city, and you want to make sure you're in an area where you're relatively safe. It doesn't have to be the most expensive, but you definitely want to feel comfortable since you will be new to the area and you won't know many people. My second tip for you guys, okay, take notes. Watch as many videos as you can. I watched a ton of YouTube videos about people talking about their experiences. I watched a million apartment tours. I tried to get as familiar with the city as possible. This is really helpful because you'll know kind of where to go when you get there, so you won't feel as lost. Sometimes when you move to a new city, you feel lost, you feel scared, you feel like you're alone in the world and you don't know anybody. So trying to get as familiar with the city as you can is going to be amazing for you. Before I moved to Dallas, I got really familiar with Deep Ellum. Deep Ellum on Sunday Fun Day, it's a vibe. When I tell you guys that so many people go out on Sunday Fun Day, well, I mean, before Corona, Deep Ellum is such a really artsy, fun neighborhood. There's a lot of really cute like shops and really good restaurants, okay? If you haven't been to Pecan Lodge, it is in Deep Ellum. There's just a lot of really cool spots. So I definitely got acquainted as much as possible before I made the move. Number 3 is tolls. They add up. I don't know how many tolls, okay, I drove through before I realized that, oh my God, this is a toll road. And in Texas, if you miss your exit, there is no like, oh, get off this exit, go around. If you miss your exit in Texas, you have to like get off the freeway and do like a whole 1.5 mile U-turn and come back around. If you're on a toll road, you're kind of stuck. And those little $1 and $2 tolls add up. So if possible, set your like Apple Maps to avoid tolls or get a Texas toll tag. It'll save you time. I've mapped like taking a toll road versus taking like the streets. And for example, like for me, when I was living in Las Colinas, Irving area, it would take me like 15 to 20 minutes to get to Dallas, taking like non-toll roads, when it could have taken me like 12 minutes going on a toll. So there's things like that, you know, if you're commuting, that might be a big factor. For me, it wasn't too big of a deal, but I definitely recommend investing in a toll tag. My fourth tip is the food is amazing. A lot of people are coming from the South, so like the food in Dallas is probably nothing new to you. You're probably used to good barbecue and things like that, but for all my people coming from California, okay, the food is amazing. The food is great. Literally in a month, I probably gained like 5 or 6 pounds living in Texas, and I was like, oh my God, I'm getting thick. But that is something to keep in mind if you are not on a mission to gain weight. The food in Texas is not always the healthiest. There are tons of restaurants though that are very healthy, but for me, I was going for the seafood boil, okay? I was going for the barbecue. Like Rudy's Chicken, Paradise Cajun. I'm speechless. Like, I don't even know how to describe it to you guys. It's so good. And you know what I've realized is that the portions they give you, the portions are like huge. For the price, you can't beat it. Like, you really can't beat it. So if you're in Dallas, understand you will be eating good, my friend. You will be eating very good. However, it's definitely something you have to watch, because with good food comes a lot of calories. And if you're not here to like gain the freshman 15, just be mindful of that. Fifth tip is to set a budget. Like I mentioned, it is relatively inexpensive to live in Texas. That is my opinion, okay? I came from California. I mentioned this briefly in my first video on why I moved to Texas, and I mentioned how you can get like luxury apartments for $1,300 and $1,400, and that is still very true. However, if you want like a high-rise building, it does come at a premium, and this is something that I kind of realized recently when I started looking for a new apartment, is that the prices really aren't that much different if you're looking for something specific. If you're looking for a luxury high-rise, which is kind of something I want because I work from home, obviously I live at home, I sleep at home, I eat at home, like I'm here 24/7, so I wanted it to be a space that was very relaxing. I wanted floor-to-ceiling windows, the beautiful skyline, so that comes at a premium. So at that point, I literally feel like I'm still paying California prices. I gave my apartment locator a budget, and don't get me wrong, you can find apartments at that budget, but you kind of run into that issue with safety, which is something I talked about, the car theft, the areas that they place these luxury high-rises. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you're not somebody who's super picky in particular, you will have no problem with the cost of living. I would say though, to have a decent apartment, it doesn't have to be luxury, but to have a decent apartment in a safe area, I would recommend at least having a budget of about $1,300. That can definitely get you something really cute and cozy. I'd say the $1,100 range can also get you a great deal. I would also say that right now, if you're moving to Dallas, so many apartments are doing 6 weeks free, 8 weeks free, waiving deposits, and all types of different incentives to get you to lease. So it's definitely a good time. And as we get later into the year, specifically like November and December, you'll see rent prices drop dramatically. That's kind of why I'm holding off on signing an apartment, to be honest with you, because the same apartments that I'm looking at that are 16, 17, 1800 are going down to like 14 and 15 in like 2.5 months. But like I said, 1,300, you'll have a great apartment. The sixth tip I have is to download Tinder or Bumble. And this is not just for dating. I mean, if you want to date on Tinder and Bumble, by all means. The reason why I'm recommending downloading these apps is because, at least specifically with Bumble, there's Bumble BFF, which can help you meet friends if you don't already know people there. It's very easy, I'd say, to meet people in Dallas if you go out of your way. Obviously, Miss Corona has kind of put a stop on like the Sunday fun days and the different events in the city, but you can still get to know people virtually. I've literally met friends on Omegle. Like Omegle, of all places. Seventh tip I have for you guys is to pray on it. Not sure if you're spiritual or if you're religious or if you even believe in a higher power. But when you make a trip like this or a move like this, it's very important to feel prepared. Not only prepared with your financial situation or with your material items, but to feel prepared and feel confident in yourself. Sometimes moving and making a big change, like a new state, can make or break you. When you get here, you might go through a period of regret, or you may start to doubt why you moved here. I kind of touched on this in my last video, where I felt like Texas was meant for me to be here, and I still stand by that to this day. I think I have a different outlook and different like positive vibe when I'm in Texas. I'm smiling. Maybe it's because it's sunny and it's green outside. Not to say I'm not happy in California, don't get me wrong. Some people think I'm like so dramatic when I said this, until my friend Deanna came with me and she was just like, oh my God, I love Texas. Like, I feel so happy here. And I'm like, it's in the air. It's in the air, because how is it that somebody else is agreeing with me? I think that definitely comes from a place of just letting go, letting God in, and letting him guide you. Manifest your happiness when you move to Dallas or Texas in general, because that'll definitely help you start with an open, positive mind and make your experience overall a lot better. My final tip is to find a job beforehand. There are specific ways to go about this. And I kind of have a few tips, and I touched on them briefly in my last video, but I'm more than happy to kind of walk through it again, okay? So listen up, okay? College grads, listen up. I don't know why I looked at myself. Okay, so college grads, if you are a college grad and moving to Texas, say you just graduated in May, or you're graduating next spring, or whenever you graduate, go ahead and look into development programs. Go on linkedin.com, type in development program, Dallas, Texas, or Austin, Texas, or Atlanta, Georgia, wherever you're at, and watch how many listings come available. Development programs are created strategically by a lot of big corporations, and they start off as entry-level or intermediate-level positions for individuals with bachelor's degrees or master's degrees. The reason why I emphasize this is because the competition pool for these jobs is very specific. You're competing with other college students opposed to competing with college grads, Harvard grads, doctors, lawyers, whoever is applying, right? You never know their background. With this one, you know it's specifically college kids, and you have a great chance of interviewing and getting the job. This is how I got my job in Texas, and I definitely recommend it if you're looking as well. So for my college grads, go the development program route. I will try and put some links down below, but honestly, if you go on LinkedIn, you can kind of specify it, whether you're looking for engineering development programs, sales, business, leadership. I mean, the list kind of goes on and on. If you're not a recent college grad, or maybe you're not interested in a development program, reach out to recruitment agencies, temp agencies that can kind of get you a foot in the door. They work specifically with companies to find candidates. So it kind of gets you a little closer to that business owner or to that company than if you just applied randomly online. Recruitment agencies can also give you tips on your resume, to best prepare for an interview. So they kind of help you with preparation and getting you the best jobs that fit your description. The reason why I'm kind of pressing this is because no matter how much you have in your savings, the ultimate goal is to be stable when you get to Texas so that you can really enjoy and you don't have to stress. So definitely go ahead and make sure you're prepared and have a job or an interview or something lined up before you get there. With apartments in Dallas, you don't always have to have income coming in at that time. They also accept offer letters. So like I mentioned, I'm looking for an apartment right now, and although I can submit 3 pay stubs, they also say they take offer letters. They take, you know, if you have a certain amount of money in your bank account, they'll do that as well. So you want to make sure you're as best qualified for an apartment as possible, or a home. I mean, if you're big ballin' and want to buy a house, do you, boo, do you. Definitely make sure you have all these tools at your disposal and you're using them to your advantage. With that, guys, this video is done. It's a wrap. I gave you all my secrets. I gave you all my tools, my advice about moving to Texas. I hope you guys have a safe journey. Do not let Miss Corona discourage you. You will have an amazing time wherever you decide to move. If you guys have any more specific questions about moving to Dallas or about my move, or if you have more questions for me, first you gotta hit the subscribe button, okay? Because I'm gonna check. It's free. Like, literally, it's free. I don't know why people don't subscribe. The next thing is go ahead and DM me on Instagram or leave your comment down below. I try and be as active as possible. Even if I'm not posting on my channel, just know I see everything. So if you leave a comment, I will respond to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
First touch, get left in the dust, no room to judge, talking business, so lips, first touch.